everyone. Welcome to Box Office Addict, my weekly live stream podcast where I break down the weekend numbers and have a free-form discussion with the chat. This is episode 59. We're one away from 60. So close to being an old man, at least in live streaming years, that I'm very excited, and this is the closest I think Box Office Addicts have ever been to each other. We did the last episode on Friday. Because of my job, I couldn't do it on Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday, and we're doing one on Tuesday, so you only have a few days between episode 58 and episode 59. So I guess for the Box Office Addict fans out there, this is a special treat, or maybe it's too much candy. Maybe you're like a kid on trick-or-treat and I gave you too many sweets and then you're gonna have a tummy ache tomorrow. Maybe sometimes it's better to just give you one candy bar and then let that one digest, and then you can have a Kit Kat bar the next week. Instead, I just, instead of giving you the one candy bar, I got the handful and threw it in the bag as you wear your Blue Ranger costume from 1995. Wild Smile is sorry he didn't contact you. What do you mean? Did he talk about me somewhere? We were supposed to do something, I think last week or the week before that. I mean, there's been times that I flaked out on him. Unfortunately, just because of my job. I know me and him were supposed to do something one night and I had to work till like 11:30, so by the time I got home, I was too tired to record. And that was one reason I couldn't go on Naked Apes the weekend chimp out. Because that I'd really like to get back in touch with Jeff at World Class Bullshitters, try to get back on there again. And I know Jeremy on Geeks and Gamers said I could come on. I'd also like to do some with David Stewart again. David Stewart has stayed in contact with me since our live stream, 2 months ago. And me and him really need to do something again, because I think me and him could collaborate. He said he blanked out on you. What did you ask about me? That's funny. Oh, and thank you as always, Bathory, being here, my co-host, my sidekick, if you will, my hit girl. Which would make me her Big Daddy. A little creepy, isn't it? That's fine. That's fine if he blanked out. That's no big deal. We'll make that happen. Me and Wild Smile will make that happen. What E-drama did I miss? I feel like there's always E-drama. So what the fuck E-drama did I miss this week? There's never not E-drama, is there? Yeah. Has there been a week where there isn't E-drama going on? Ever had Professor Geek on your show? I don't even know who that is, so no. Oh, that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate, Bathory. But thank you for coming in anyway. I appreciate it. I know this is a really early episode, although Box Office Addict used to be at noon, remember? That used to be the average time of this show was like 12 or 2, and then I moved it to 4. Because I thought 4 was a lot better, because a lot more people could tune in, especially on a weekday like this when people are working. And then some episodes were 6 or 8. But the original format was around noon, or I would make videos at noon. That's when I used to do stuff. V on Ralph Retort and Vox Day taking Comicsgate logo. Oh, who gives a fuck about V? At this point, V's just a fucking meme of a meme. I mean, really, when is the last time V said anything fucking relevant? When was the time V ever said anything relevant, to be honest? I have nothing relevant to say. I am boring as V. Oh, Sargon, let me defend him. Very good. And I used to be a fan of V's channel in a very, passive way. I enjoyed watching his videos because it was a fun way to pass, an hour. He would talk about something, but V's become very boring. As a lot of people from the skeptic community have become very boring. I mean, does anybody watch Dave Cullen anymore? I'm sure people do, but I don't hear anybody talk about him anymore. Cultural Marxism. All that cultural Marxism. It's caught up to me. Yeah, where the fuck is Dave Cullen? I don't even watch Sargon stuff anymore. I don't watch Sargon. I certainly don't watch Shoe on Head. I can't think if there's anyone I still watch. I still watch, live streams sometimes from people. But for the most part, I would say that, V got bitched the fuck out on Ralph Retort, blaming Ralph for his Discord flagging his channel. Oh, of course. Of course. Everybody always blames someone else for that, don't they? All this drama with Discord and the flagging and being doxxed and blah blah fuckity blah blah. Was Aiden Paladin's been doxxed like 38 times or something like that? I think she's going for a record. I thought after you've been doxxed once or twice you couldn't be doxxed again, but I guess hers is like an endless thing. No, they started to dry out like Amy Schumer's pussy. That's how dry the fucking skeptics are right now. Fucking terrible. I hope you guys liked the Crazy Rich Asians review. I was shocked that I was able to get a review out this week. I was not expecting to go see that movie. But the girlfriend's parents came to visit, and they were like, do you want to go see that movie? And I'm like, not really, but I didn't want to be rude. They came to town to visit us, and they wanted to take us out. So I went, but I fell asleep 80 minutes into the movie. We were at a theater with really nice reclining seats, and I reclined mine back way too far, and I just got off a 10-hour shift at work. And next thing I know, I wake up and the fucking credits are rolling. It's weird I woke up at the credits. It's weird with movies. Like, you don't wake up at, like, 20 minutes after you fell asleep. You wake up once it's over. Like, how does my body know that the movie's over? Do I just feel the energy? Time to get up. I mean, I opened my eyes and the credits were rolling. I'm like, that's a weird fucking time to wake up. She didn't shake me and wake me up. I've never fallen asleep at a movie theater before. That was my first time. That means I'm officially becoming like a dad. The closer I get to 30, the more I'm becoming a dad, but without a kid yet. Because a lot of times I've been in the movies, people have fallen asleep on me. Friends, girlfriends, family. My dad used to fall asleep at movies all the time. I've never fallen asleep during, even when I've been really tired. I've been super tired in a movie theater before. And tried to just force myself to get through it. But I'd been working, that was my 9-day working. 9th day to work. I'd worked 10 days in a row. That was day number 9. Sorry. That was day number 9. And I just got done working 10 hours, and I told her, I was like, I'm fucking tired. And I should have drank a cup of coffee. Really. Yeah, I got my cherry popped in the sleeping theater world. But I told her, I was like, you know, I'm tired, but I should start coming home and drinking coffee at like 4. Why the fuck am I not doing that? Because I usually get off at 4 or 5. And we went and got food. We got Chinese food. And that was probably a mistake too, because you have a full stomach, and I'm laying down with Chinese food filled up in my belly. And then I fell the fuck asleep. When I get time to go see more movies, I will review different things. I just have no time to go see movies right now. That's the main issue. I had to skip out on seeing Black Klansman, 3 Identical Strangers. A lot of movies that were playing near me I didn't get to go see. That's kind of that's been the issue. I heard that Adventure Time ended. I quit watching Adventure Time like, what, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I tuned out a while ago. I was a fan of Adventure Time. It wasn't like I was out of it. I would argue funny that review was, as a piece of entertainment, made it worthwhile. I think I had some good jokes in there. I think the Step Up 3D segment was very fun. I like the editing of the video. I like the pacing of the Crazy Rich Asians video. I like the sane middle-class Caucasians joke. So I think that was... And it's a very popular movie. I mean, Crazy Rich Asians is making a lot of money, and a lot of people are seeing it. So it's relevant in that sense, that it's very popular. So... you know, at least I said something on it. I mean, I wouldn't have seen it otherwise, but I think the video stands on its own without the movie. I think the video itself's entertaining and funny. The upgrade review I like a little bit more, but that's because, you know, I had more to say with that. I didn't really have much to say with Crazy. So I just thought, like, I'll just make it entertaining. I had a few bits in my head and how I wanted to play it out. But mainly I'm just happy with the flow of the video and the way it's put together. I think it's very nice. I think the editing on my last few videos has been very, very cool. Oh, okay. Oh, you guys are talking about the new Jack Ryan show. Yeah, I'm probably not going to watch that. With Jim Halpert. Although, it would be great if he was just Jim Halpert. And he started working for the CIA as an analyst. Why what? Why won't I watch it? Just time. I don't have a lot of free time, and I can't sit and watch, like, a whole season of a show right now. That's a reason I'm not going to watch it. It's not because I think it looks bad or anything like that. It's not like I'm skipping it because of that. I just don't have time to watch a show. Otherwise, I might watch it. It definitely wasn't, like, one of my, like, most anticipated shows. Yeah, with Pam, yeah. Him and Pam, they get a new life. And he gets a code name, Jack Ryan. And it's like, oh, it's a Jack Ryan story now. How have you guys been doing? You been having a good summer? Yeah, I think Upgrade's gonna get a following. Slowly. It's definitely not gonna happen overnight. But I think give it a few years and... Sup, bitch. Sup, Null. Good to see you, Null Nation. Null Nation. Jesus Christ. That's like such cringy YouTube type stuff, like, yo, Logan Paul Nation. The Suspiria remake getting mixed reviews. I'm surprised, actually. I thought it would be critically acclaimed because of that director. I mean, he made Call Me by Your Name, and all of his films have gotten pretty rave reviews. The trailer was very good. I think that Suspiria had a lot of potential as a remake. I wasn't one of those people that thought, like, why would you remake Suspiria? I think there's a lot of room to do things with Suspiria. As much as I love Suspiria, the main reason I love that movie is just that it sustains tension for the majority of its running time. That for about 95 minutes it keeps up tension and fear and sensory overload by Argento. So I think as a piece of filmmaking and production value and sound editing and all that, the film's phenomenal. But the acting's bad in Suspiria. The script is serviceable, I suppose. And it's got lulls. So I always thought, well, you know, Suspiria has such an amazing premise, right? This girl goes to a dance school. And... well, there's no way I would have reviewed Minority Report, Book of Eli, or Total Recall remake. You should have known better with the Total Recall remake, though, bro. What were you thinking? A Len Wiseman movie? Come on. You know, I could see how you were interested in watching Minority Report and Book of Eli. What the fuck were you doing even watching Total Recall? I'd like to think that you thought it was Total Recall and you put the wrong movie in, and you're like, Arnold's not in this. What the fuck is going on here? What? Fuck. I just forgot what I was talking about. I hated Book of Eli. Holy shit, did I hate Book of Eli. Although it's got that one cool scene where they're getting shotted in the house and it's like one shot, the camera goes around. That's a cool little bit. You know, for like a music video. Oh, Suspiria, that's right. So I always thought there was a lot of potential. I know David Gordon Green was going to remake that for years. And I was less interested in that, saying David Gordon Green remakes Suspiria. But I always thought, you know, the girl going to this dance school that's, you know, a coven of witches who, you know, they worship evil or what have you, and they're killing off these girls. And I always thought that was such a cool idea for a movie. Like, I was like, that's a fucking awesome idea for a movie. This is early. And I always thought there was a lot of potential to have better acting, to have better story, to flesh out the characters more. Because Suspiria is just an experience movie, but I actually think you could have made a more intelligent, interesting film out of it. And I've wanted more films like Suspiria. Certainly, Darren Aronofsky was trying to do Suspiria's things with Black Swan, and some other filmmakers have tried to do that. But I don't know, I've never really seen it been done as well as that movie since that movie came out. I've seen that movie like, God, 30 plus times. I love Suspiria. But I was really excited for a remake, especially after I saw the trailer, and I was like, you know, this could be awesome. It didn't occur to me. It sounds more like a Nicholas Winding Refn movie, the more I've read about it. And I'm going to go under the assumption that I might enjoy the movie, but not for the reasons maybe the filmmakers intended. I've heard it's a movie you can get lost in, but one thing I immediately have a problem with is the length. I can't believe he made a 2.5 hour movie out of Suspiria. It's 152 minutes. That's insane. The longest that movie should have been is like 110 minutes. I don't know why the fuck you would think about making it 2.5 hours. That's crazy. Yeah, Alpha is the name of a movie that just came out recently. I mean, I'm not saying that, you know, the Gallo horror or whatever did. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they have bad acting. I understand that. I'm not saying, you know, I'm just saying you could make a remake of Suspiria with good acting. That would be one thing that I would have liked. And with, you know, you keep all the things that worked and then try to improve on the things that were sloppy. That was sloppy about a lot of Dario Argento films. Even ones I really like that in Deep Red. Deep Red's great, but Deep Red has some shitty acting in it. Besides the lead guy's pretty great in Deep Red. But I actually thought a Suspiria remake sounded cool. I think Suspiria is such a neat idea, but it sounds like he fucked it up. It sounds like a really pretentious movie. I mean, of course Screen Junkies isn't going to answer that question. They don't. I'm sure that none of them talk to Andy anymore. 2 reviews accused Suspiria 2013 of misogyny, with one review saying a woman should have directed it instead because of media. Well, that's stupid. That's stupid. I've been reading a lot of that lately, like a female director should direct these movies, a black director should direct these movies, an Asian director should direct these movies. That's very ridiculous, that whole notion. Why can't people of different races or genders direct movies about people that are different from them? I don't understand that. If you have a good script and the person making the movie understands the material, it doesn't matter what their background is. No, Suspiria has bad acting. I'm not gonna act like it's just the dubbing. Suspiria is not a very well acted movie. I mean, the Leone trilogy was dubbed, and the acting's still great, even though you can tell it's dubbed. The Dollars trilogy, Suspiria is just very overacted and has some part. I mean, even the facial acting's ridiculous. You know, so I don't agree with that. That's Suspiria. I don't think Suspiria has very good acting. I don't think it needs good acting, but even with the dubbing, it's just kind of terrible. Yeah, the performances, I mean, they're laughable. Some people are good in that movie. I'm actually not being fair. There's a few people in that movie that are good. Like the lady who's the head of the school or whatever, she's very good. But most of the girls in the movie, and I know Argento originally wanted them to be like 12 or 13, which I think is a fucking amazing idea. That's something I wish the remake would have done. I wish instead of casting actresses in their 20s, they would have went with like teenage girls, which I think is way scarier. It's kind of like when PTA talked about There Will Be Blood. He wanted Paul Dano's character to be like a 13-year-old boy. You know, because there's something creepy about that, making a younger character in roles like that. But I guess we haven't got to that point yet where Hollywood's okay with doing that. But I would have totally been into that shit. I've been fine. I've been working a lot, tired all the time. Haven't got to finish a few books I'm reading and all that stuff. Haven't been able to keep up reviewing movies. I mean, that's been kind of pissing me off. Because they think having a non-white as director automatically means equals a different perspective, even though that doesn't turn out to be the case a lot of the time. Well, you're seeing this. I mean, this happened with Black Panther and Ryan Coogler, where the film gets overpraised when it's boring, generic shit. Crazy Rich Asians, John Chu directs it. He gets the best reviews of his career, even though Step Up 3D is a much better movie. The modern day Xanadu. And you're just seeing this consistent. Patty Jenkins with Wonder Woman, even though I know Ethan Van Sciver disagreed with me and said Wonder Woman was a great movie. It's not. I don't know what the fuck he was smoking on that high council where you're saying Wonder Woman was great and Black Panther was great. It's like, we saw different movies, dude. This movie's fucking blow. And I could break down for you why those are pieces of shit. Oh yeah, Mandy looks awesome. I'm very excited about Mandy. I've been hearing a lot of David Lynch comparisons, which is usually like, eh. And I didn't like that director's first movie, Beyond the Rainbow or whatever, but I saw the trailer to Mandy and it looks fucking awesome. and it looks like Nick Cage is going to be awesome in it. So I'm excited for that movie, especially after the reviews. It sounds awesome. It looks awesome. I mean, there's a chainsaw fight. What the fuck more do you need? I'm always up for a good chainsaw fight. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Yeah, I think Wonder Woman's terrible. Excluding Chris Pine, he's very good in it. The first 20 minutes is cringe as shit. With the island and the little girl, Diana's awful. The ending's terrible. The villains are all over the top and cartoony stuff you haven't seen in a movie since the 90s. Bad CGI, slow motion. I mean, some good dialogue and interactions between Chris Pine and her. I won't deny that. That stuff's charming, but holy shit. It's a extremely flawed movie that people are praising as like one of the best superhero movies ever, and I wouldn't even say it cracks the top 10, but a lot of it's just that female director made a Wonder Woman movie. No, Gal Gadot is not good. She really can't act. She's a really bad actress, actually. I've had to fight with that, but now that I've seen a few movies with her in them, I'm like, yeah, you're just not very good. You really need to work on speaking better. She comes off like she can't. I mean, it's pretty bad. I think Chris Pine made the movie. I think Chris Pine's actually the one thing that really works about the movie is his timing and his character and him kind of playing the Lois Lane-esque character. He actually makes her look better. If she didn't have him to play off of, because this is what a charismatic actor can do. They can elevate the person they're playing off of, because she's doing the fish out of water thing, and she's just they're setting up these cute little scenarios. But Chris Pine is the one that's actually bringing the energy to those scenes. She's just getting to play off him, and you're seeing Wonder Woman through his eyes. It's being presented almost through his perspective in a sense, and that's what actually makes it a little bit... That's what actually makes it work a little better. If Cary Fukunaga or anyone ever remakes Evangelion as a TV show, not a movie, they should use teenage kids for the pilots. I mean, that's definitely something that would be cool. Don't be surprised, Pat. Ethan Van Sciver thought John Carpenter was overrated. Yeah, I really like Ethan, but his movie tastes are weird. I will say that. I didn't know when I was on that high council with him, the way he was talking about some movies being good, I was like, what? But this was the same group of people that all got mad at me for saying George Lucas is not some genius. And they were saying he was one of the top 5 storytellers in the history of cinema, which made me like want to spit milk out if I had milk near me. And this isn't me trying to knock anyone. I like all those guys. I like Dion and Jeff and Ethan, but that was weird when that became a thing. Like, that became one of the most controversial statements, was me saying George Lucas isn't a genius. So I saw a lot of people in the comments were mad, going, how dare you say George Lucas isn't it? It's like, have you ever heard George Lucas talk? That's not a genius. Granted, I don't use that word liberally like a lot of people do. A lot of people like to just say people are geniuses. If they make something that they love, they like to just give all the credit to that person. Like, Star Wars is all George Lucas, even though that's been proven to be untrue. That Star Wars was the work of a lot of people. But because of that, he's a genius, because he came up with an idea that became really famous and iconic. That makes him a genius. I don't like that. Yeah, I don't even get this Lucas is a great storytelling thing. He made American Graffiti and Star Wars, which are both great. I love those 2 movies. And then the rest of his career, not great storytelling. And most of the stuff he was associated with, he didn't even write. Like, Lawrence Kasdan wrote most of Raiders of the Lost Ark, and George Lucas didn't write that movie. Why do people act like George Lucas wrote Raiders of the Lost Ark? I'm still confused by that. He gets so much credit for Raiders, and I'm like, he didn't direct and he didn't write most of it. I mean, he did a great job producing and he came up with it and all. I'm not like trying to but people give him a lot of credit. I get confused by that stuff sometimes. It's not even that I think George Lucas isn't talented. He definitely is. Well, yeah, but you can argue Einstein's brilliance based off his work. You know, I don't think George Lucas' work is genius. Like I don't look at Star Wars or American Graffiti and his stuff and think of genius. I don't think that stuff's genius. I think it's very clever, and he was very good at marketing, and his idea on how to use nostalgia in those movies was very smart. I don't know if it was genius just because it was successful. I think he was a very good businessman. I don't know if he's a genius or not. You know, the work can be genius, and you're like, okay, well, I can't argue with that. You know, if somebody writes a brilliant novel, but when they talk, I don't think they sound that great. Well, if the novel's brilliant, that says something about them. But George Lucas, if we're gonna say his films are his novels or what have you, his works, I don't think of them as genius. Even though I'm a huge fan of Star Wars. Um, yeah, and no, the editing team is a big reason Star Wars works. I mean, I brought that up. George Lucas is a good world builder. He very much is. It's his greatest strength as a storyteller, as a filmmaker, is his world building, for sure. But, you know, I think you compare that to the world building of, like, Alien, or Blade Runner, or 2001, or of a lot of movies. I don't think his stuff stands out as anything better than what, a lot of high concept films do. Yeah, I mean, if he was a genius, I think the prequels wouldn't be such bad movies. I think they would at least be interesting. If they could be failures that were interesting. But I don't know. Maybe he is a genius. Maybe he does have like a 150 IQ, and he's fucking. I have no idea. But I've never got that impression from George Lucas personally. I've always thought he was just not the luckiest man in the world, because he obviously earned what he made and all that. But I don't think. I think he's maybe one of the most overpraised and overcredited people, and I think it caught up to him. I think there was, it became very obvious that he wasn't all of the genius behind those movies. Well, to be fair, if you view Mission Impossible 2 as a comedy or like an action parody like Hot Fuzz, it's one of the greatest of all time. I mean, that movie's fucking hilarious. Tom Cruise throws the sunglasses at the screen and they blow up. I mean, there's I've always wanted to do a commentary for that. Might be the next Saturday Night Fever movie if I ever do it, is Mission Impossible 2. There's so much stuff in that movie that's fucking hilarious. The scenes where Ethan is so cruel. I love it. I love it so much. Oh yeah. No, this revisionist history of the prequels being brilliant. Yeah, that was a weird for a couple years. Yeah. Does that? Yeah, the special effects technicians. I mean, are they the geniuses? The editing, which was phenomenal. The sound design, John Williams' score. I mean, all of that stuff. Like George Lucas, he didn't write the score. He wasn't the team that did the special effects. He didn't do the sound editing. I mean, and I'm not saying that he didn't do a lot of stuff. He definitely did. But I'm very confused why people like don't acknowledge that Star Wars is a lot about production value. That's kind of what made Star Wars such an impact on society, is that it looked the way it did, and it sounded the way it did, and it was put together the way it was. That wasn't all George Lucas. I mean, that's not. I don't know. Because I don't think his stuff translates well to American films. That's my thing on it. I think whenever John Woo tried to make an American movie that was like his films, like you think about Face Off, if that was made in China and had subtitles, or Broken Arrow, those movies would have played a lot better. Like the tone of them and some of the humor, or the over the top stuff. It didn't really work with his American movies. You watch them now and they're goofy. Some of the stuff that's goofy and hard boiled, like him with the baby at the end, Tequila, works in the context of it being from China. But when you watch his films in America and he tries to do that stuff, it's hilarious. It's just, you see this with foreign filmmakers sometimes. They come over here and the stuff that works in their native country, it doesn't work with American sensibilities and stuff like that, and and vice versa. I'm sure a lot of American filmmakers, if they went and made a film in France, or they made a film in in Italy or something, it wouldn't work. Some filmmakers can pull that off. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It certainly happens. But I would say John Woo. I don't think it. I just don't think the stuff he did translated well to American movies, especially at that time. It was the late '90s and the early 2000s, and what the kind of movies Hollywood was producing. I think he was unfortunately he came over at a bad time when movies were very action movies like that were getting very generic and silly. I think if he had been making movies here like in the late 80s, early 90s, back when like John McTiernan was working and Paul Verhoeven, I think he might have, had a better shot in making stuff that was better. Yeah, Kingsman 2 definitely had some bullshit. It definitely did. Can't deny that. Yeah, I mean that's what Star Wars is. Star Wars is Flash Gordon, aesthetically, with 2001 level special effects, because Kubrick broke new ground that Lucas ran with and did some really innovative things with. And then it's also taking structures from Kurosawa films, but also just Western films that Kurosawa was influenced by, like John Ford movies. And it's taking things from comic books and fantasy books and stuff from Dune and all that. I mean, it's just a bunch of things influenced put together, which is what's great about it, is that it's familiar, but it did enough things aesthetically that were new to make those things that were familiar not feel so predictable and cliche. They felt fresh and new because of the packaging. The packaging was new, even if what was inside the package itself was just a remix of a bunch of things. But that's what Quentin Tarantino does, you know. So George Lucas, in many ways, was one of the innovators of that. But everybody's influenced by someone. I mean, every great filmmaker talks about the movies that influenced them. It's just some are more obscure than others. Kurosawa was not that obscure, but every filmmaker just about became obsessive with something. Be it paintings, even they were influenced by paintings. Oh yeah, Attack of the Clones is horrible. That's a really bad movie. Yeah, Quentin did the same thing with. I mean, Quentin always does that. Quentin always just takes from all sort. I mean, every Quentin Tarantino movie. There's not a movie Tarantino hasn't made yet that's not a mix of like 10 different genres or movies you've seen before. I mean, he'll take straight up shots from other movies and situations and reuse them in his movies. Hey, I'm glad you're here, Phil. It's good to see you, buddy. Yeah, that's the thing. Star Wars was the positive. I mean, really, it was Rocky. Rocky was that film that was fighting the cynicism of the 70s. Because Rocky came out a year before it. I think Rocky kind of led the way to Star Wars, and then like Superman the movie. But yeah, I mean, it was people wanted escapism again after every movie was serious and being introspective, and movies were getting very pitch black. I mean, you watch a movie like Chinatown or Godfather, and they're fucking, they're serious and they're cynical, and but then you start to see in the late 70s it starts to change a little bit. I mean, it kind of ends with Apocalypse Now. That's really like the goodbye to the 70s in a major way. And then we get into the 80s, which is just dominated by blockbusters for the most part. PW? I don't know what that stands for. What made you develop your love for movies more deeply than many others? What do you mean by that specifically? You think I love movies deeply, more deeply than other people who love movies? You think my passion is more pure and committed than other film buffs? I don't think escapism has to be stupid either. I certainly don't think that. I think some of the best movies I've ever seen were just escapist. I don't think it has to be stupid. What made you develop your love for movies more deeply than others? Probably being an artist. I mean, I don't know. I mean, probably if I mean, I've always been a very passionate person. I've always been very emotionally um I don't know, transparent. I kind of wear my heart on my sleeve. You know, if you know me as a person, I'm very honest, and I don't mind complimenting people. And I don't mind being, you know, telling people I love them. I don't mind crying. I don't mind being angry around people. You know, I don't try to put a wall up and block what I'm feeling from other people. And I think early on, I was always I didn't mind performing in front of people, being vulnerable, making jokes, acting things out in front of people, saying what I feel. I don't like that barrier that we put up as a society a lot of the time, at least in America. I mean, I don't know if this is true everywhere, obviously. But in America, you know, we kind of have to follow these rules. These rules we make for interactions, and I don't really follow them. I never did, even when I was young. So I would say I don't. My eye is not my greatest strength. I'm certainly. I mean, the eye is something that's very discussed, just like the ear. I have a better ear than I do an eye. My ear for music and sounds is exceptional. I would say my eye is one of my weaker aspects, but that's why you try to hire a good cinematographer who has a better eye than you, and you just kind of frame the shots. You come up with the compositions, and then they do the stuff that makes it look better than you could do because you can't see what they see. Somebody who understands photography better than you do, because it's a lot of it just comes from natural ability. I'm not bad. I'm very competent at shooting stuff, but it's definitely not my strength. My eye is not my greatest strength. I have location scout, yes. I've always location scouted. I would say my strengths are in more character interactions, dialogue, tone, pacing, structure, that kind of stuff. That's where I'm really good. I'm really good at storytelling. That's kind of the thing I tried to work on. My technical prowess is not like my strength, but that's just, you know, I accept that. I just don't have. I'm not a natural filmmaker. I had to learn through a lot of struggle how to get better with that stuff, and I'm still learning. I'm still, you know, learning every time I do something. All right, see you, Bath. Go take a bath, Bathory. So a lot of it was just I grew up watching movies. I mean, I played with action figures a lot, and I used to act out storylines with them and plots, and that was kind of my thing. And I didn't realize I was kind of learning how to be a storyteller then. And then I got into magic, and I always liked the magic was an honest lie. That a lot of magicians are con artists, but what they're doing is letting the audience be implicit with the lies that this is an illusion, this is fake, but we're telling you that you know it's fake, but you're going to see that this is how it is anyway, using science, using things like magnets and chemistry to fool people. Orson Welles talks about this in F for Fake, about artists being charlatans, and he shows you through cinematic technique how to manipulate the eye and ear for subterfuge. But that's the main well, it's one of the most foolish things you could think about filmmaking. It's something a lot of people are ignorant about when it comes to filmmaking. They think that a technically well-made film or a filmmaker who has technical abilities is a good filmmaker. And this is the biggest misconception I've ever seen with film buffs or people who think they understand film when you talk to them. They think good cinematography equals a good movie. They think a pretty movie is a good movie. They think that a director is good just because he is good at framing a shot that he uses good lenses. Terrence Malick would be a great example of this. And this is one of the biggest, just no-nos if you're a film buff, is that's just completely untrue. I would say that is such a flawed way of thinking that I've seen pretty much since I really got into movies seriously when I was like 13. That people really just don't understand what makes a good movie. They think, legitimately a lot of people think it's just cinematography. They think it's just composition. They don't care about storytelling. They don't care about themes. They don't realize that most of the great movies they watch, which are beautiful movies, aren't just good because they're beautiful. I don't know, because I wanted some Yeezy in my life. He's always in the background of my life, quite frankly. But I would say that's a big mistake people make about thinking about movies. I've seen that a lot, and I still see people that they'll review a movie and they'll talk about the movie more how it looked than what it was about, and about the story. And I think that is too many directors are glorified cinematographers or second unit directors. You see this a lot with modern filmmaking, especially. These guys have nothing to say. They really have no depth to them. There's nothing interesting about them. They just technically know how to make a movie. So a lot of times people give them a pass. But they're actually horrible at making a movie. And I'd say Terrence Malick's a great fucking example, especially his last several films. Anything really since Days of Heaven. Parts of The Thin Red Line are fine, but people are like, oh, his movies are beautiful, so thus they're great. Even though they're terrible. Ridley Scott's a great example of someone who has a lot of those issues. Yes, with liking a movie, thinking a movie's good. Well, they don't know the fundamentals, It's people like with Kubrick, right? What do they focus on? They focus on his center framing, right? They focus on how he could put something in the center of a shot, the attention to detail, his control of your eye, his use of cuts and all that. And that's true. That is part of what makes Kubrick brilliant. But those movies wouldn't be good if they had shitty scripts and they were compelling as narratives. I mean, if they were just boring and you weren't invested and they were pretty, you wouldn't love A Clockwork Orange or Doctor Strangelove or Barry Lyndon. Those films wouldn't be compelling. I mean, it's not just because he was this master with photography, because he started as a still photographer. It's because he did a lot of research. He read a lot of books. He knew a lot about stories. He knew a lot about history. So that was in his films. You feel like you're getting a lot of detail, not just in what's being shown to you, but also what's inside the movie itself, the substance of the screenplay, and how the characters are feeling and interacting with each other. I mean, that's really what drives those films home and makes them interesting. And the shots reinforce those things, but the core of the things that makes them interesting is that you're feeling something, and those emotions are coming from what's in the storytelling and what's in, a Hitchcock film, right? Hitchcock is about as technical as you can get, and manipulating you with the craft. But craftsmanship only really works at a high level when the craft is being used on something worthwhile. It isn't just great because the craftsmanship alone is great. It's because what he's committing that time to put together well actually is worth committing the time to. It's worth making Rear Window or Rebecca or Psycho. It's not just because they're beautifully put together. If you're smart, sometimes you don't like a movie but aren't consciously aware why. Your brain did. What if Guardians 3 had Quill become a drunken rocket, Drax became the voice of reason? Well, it sounds like Drax isn't going to be in the movie, so I don't know if it would have been a modern day classic, but I definitely think Brad Bird 100% would have made a better movie than J.J. Abrams. But a lot of the problems with that movie just were Disney. I mean, I don't even want to. I mean, I blame a lot of that movie on Disney and the producers and Kathleen Kennedy. I don't totally 100% just blame JJ. I mean, I definitely think Star Wars Episode 9 will probably make more money than Jumanji, than the new Jumanji. Although I think the new Jumanji is still going to make a shitload of money. I'm sure it'll make $1 billion, or around there, like the last one did. But you have to assume Episode 9 is going to make a little bit more than that. But who knows? I mean, maybe it'll make more. I don't see it happening though. I still think no matter what, Episode 9 is going to make $500 million domestically. So I'm going to go with Episode 9. No, what I don't like about Dave Bautista is he's making everything about himself. At first, I was like, okay, dude, you're standing up for your friend and you have problems with Disney, and that's fair. But now he's gotten so much media attention and he won't shut up about it. He's made it more about himself than the James Gunn thing. I don't even understand his train of thought anymore. It's just got no point where it just feels like he's trying to make it about like how it affects him and his value to Disney and his value as the character to the franchise and all that. I mean, it's very egotistical how it's been coming across the last like 2 or 3 things that have come out. At first, I was okay with it. Now I'm just finding him very annoying. And I really like Dave Bautista, but it's like, Jesus Christ, dude. Chill the fuck out. Just go make the fucking movie. Like, who gives a shit, dude? It's not like you were making some great cinematic piece of art. Like, it's not like the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise was some fucking important movie series that, like, I must walk away from this or something. Like, dude, you signed on to a fucking Disney movie franchise. Some factory-made shit. And now you're trying to act like it had more value than it did, and, like, James Gunn was this great auteur. Like, what the fuck? Like, you're not fooling anybody, dude. Like, I know, yeah, but will the reviews matter, Hoth? You know the critics are either just going to praise it like they did the last 2 movies, and all the YouTubers, they're going to go in and hate it. There's no way that any of the people that have shit on Last Jedi and Force Awakens are going to like Episode 9, even if it's a better movie. They're still going to give it terrible reviews. They've already made their minds up. I guarantee you that Mahler, Dishonored Wolf, all those guys are going to give Episode 9 negative review no matter what. I mean, everybody's already like made their decision with that movie, be it positive or negative. I don't think there's. I don't think it's gonna. I mean, really, I don't. I think the only person you can make up your mind for that one is yourself. Because the Star Wars film, it's too political now. People have too much invested in it. These new Star Wars films, that you're not gonna really be able to figure out what any kind of truth there is. I like Jet Li's Fearless. I certainly prefer Peter Weir's Fearless. I mean, Drax is one of my favorite characters. I think his comic timing is great. I think it's J.J. Abrams. J.J. Abrams is writing Episode 9, right? They threw out the Colin Trevorrow script, and I don't know if Rian Johnson. I know he wrote a treatment, but I think it's J.J.'s writing and directing. I wish they would go hire an actual talented writer to go write Episode 9, but I guess they don't give a shit. Well, just like quit trying to make. I mean, they fired him. Get over it. Get over it, dude. It's not the end of the world that James Gunn got fucking fired by Disney. Like, who gives a shit at the end of the day? Like, I mean, really, it's not that big of a deal in the long run. You know, I get that it upsets you. I get the guy was your friend. I have no issues with any of that. You want to say, like, but you said your piece. We've heard it. Move on. I mean, I love Drax. I think Drax is great. It's very funny. So I would be upset if there was less Drax, but oh, I mean, oh no, JJ made every mistake possible. I mean, he couldn't have made bigger mistakes. I don't know what the fuck he was thinking. Like, hey, let's not have the reunion everybody wanted. Let's not put Luke in this movie. Let's not have new interesting characters. Like, what the fuck? I mean, every decision's just confusing. I can get if I didn't love Episode 7 and Episode 8. That's fine to me, like, if they just didn't work for me. It's more that the decisions they did make are fucking insane. Like, you're sitting there going, like, why would you do this? It's things that don't make any sense if you actually try to sit down and think about them. So that's the only thing that's throwing me off, is how fucking confusing all of the decision making was in those films. Yeah, you could bring in a new character that just does what Drax does, for sure. I do wonder what's going to happen to Star Wars after Episode 9. I don't know how much they can milk this franchise. Or bleed it to death, if you will. Alright, let's get to the box office since we're, what, 50-something minutes in. Sorry for the long intro. Anyway, let's start with Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. Made $1.2 million this weekend, 37% drop. Is at $367 million worldwide on a $75 million budget, $118 million domestic. This is a very good performance for this sequel that's coming out like a decade after the first one, which was a surprisingly huge hit. Made $144 million domestic, $609 million worldwide, biggest musical ever. This film should be able to break $400 million worldwide. So even though it's not as big as the first film, this is still a massive success all around. So maybe we'll get Mamma Mia 3. Ant-Man and the Wasp continues to have a great performance at the end of its run, even though it had a disappointing run at the beginning. $1.3 million this weekend, $213 million domestic. That's higher than the first film's $180 million. Worldwide, it's at $597 million. That tops the first one's $519 million. I'm assuming this film cost like $150 million, $160 million. Marketing. But this film should end up somewhere around $615, $620 worldwide. So even though I still think it's a minor disappointment, I think that, on the high end, this should have made $700 million. This is still successful. I think it could have done a little bit better domestically, considering it's a Marvel film, like $230 to $250. But that China box office really boosted, although it did take a big hit this weekend due to Mission Impossible 6. So even though this had a great opening in China, it doesn't look like it's going to have a long run there, just because Tom Cruise came in and stepped on Ant-Man. So this film, though, still $600 million worldwide. It's not a bomb. It's done fine. It's done better than the first movie, which is all it really needed to do, but nothing breakout about this movie. I don't know if they have much... I don't know if they really have a good reason to make Ant-Man 3. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. But, Ant-Man 2 still, it did very well. Let's move up to the Equalizer 2. $1.4 million, 28% drop. Crossed $100 million this weekend. Should be able to pass the $101 million that the first film made, directed by Anton Fuqua, director of Training Day. Denzel Washington continues to have a great run at the box office, with several films making over $100 million and opening weekends over $20 million. He's just had a long, successful career, both critically and financially. A $62 million budget. If the film can make $200 million worldwide, I would say it's a minor success. So maybe we'll get the Equalizer 3. Unless he dies at the end of this movie. I don't know. I did not see it. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom made $1.5 million this weekend. Some of these totals include Monday. They include Labor Day, by the way, which is why I waited to do this till Tuesday, so we can include the Labor Day numbers. Anyway, $1.3 billion worldwide. The film did cross that. It's just below Black Panther and The Last Jedi. Incredible foreign performance, $885 million. That's phenomenal. I don't think it's quite as good as the first movies, but I think the first one made like $1 billion at the international box office. I could be wrong about that, though. Let's go check Jurassic World out. I think it did. Yeah, the first one made $1 billion internationally and $652 million domestic. But still, $885 million is insane, so holy shit. $170 million budget, $185 million marketing. Surprisingly high domestic total, $415 million. I did not see that happening. I thought at best this film would make $300 million. So this overperformed. I mean, in general, this just overperformed. This performed better than the tracking was saying. The reviews weren't good, but it did not affect the word of mouth. So this franchise is here to stay. I mean, that's an amazing number right there, and it's a huge deal for Universal. So, I mean, this is the only thing really competing with Disney outside of the Fast and the Furious franchise and stuff, or like Jumanji. So amazing run. Slender Man made $1.8 million, $28 million domestic, $43 million worldwide on a $10 million budget. That's an okay performance. Hotel Transylvania 3 passed Hotel Transylvania 2, which made $473 million. This film's made $485 million. Domestically, it's past the first film's $148. It's close to the $169 of the second film. I'd say this film is overperformed for Sony. I think a lot of people thought this film would do well because the other two films, I don't think anyone thought that it would do this well. This is going to make $500 million worldwide, which would make it the most successful film out of the trilogy. And it's going to come very close to the final domestic total of the first film. But with an $80 million budget, even though I'm sure Adam Sandler gets a huge back end from this movie, this is a major success. for Sony Animated Studios. Kin, the new film that got terrible reviews, had a $3 million opening weekend. I don't know what the budget is for this film, but in 2,100 theaters, this thing will be gone within 2 to 3 weeks. This is what you call a bomb, people. The Incredibles 2 has made $3.2 million this weekend. $601 million domestic, but I think that's actually now 602, so it did cross the $600 million mark. It's made $1,166 million worldwide. It should be able to cross $1.2 billion to put it above Frozen as the highest grossing animated film of all time, not adjusted for ticket price inflation. This is Brad Bird's most successful film, the most successful film for Pixar, and in general, this will probably go down as the most successful animated movie. Just, you know, on a surface level. Huge opening weekend. Looked like it was dropping a little bit, a little heavy in the second, third week, but it's been able to hold it all in and make that I mean, that's a huge domestic total. The international box office is really just icing. $200 million film. This should be a huge profit maker. I'm assuming they're going to make $400-500 million in profit off this movie. Then when you include Black Panther, Infinity War, Disney's just making a shitload of money right now. They are wiping their asses with $100 bills. So there's much more to say about this film. As has been said, it's made all of the money it was expected to because The Incredibles was a hugely successful film. This film should be making this money. This is not a surprise. It should be performing this well. And I think that, if anything, even though I thought this movie was a major disappointment, all of the goodwill of that first film doesn't seem to have impacted this film at all. Mile 22, the Peter Berg Mark Wahlberg collaboration, $3.5 million, $31 million domestic, $39 million worldwide on a $50 million budget. I think we can call that a bomb. Black Klansman's actually doing really well. $4.1 million this weekend, 18% drop. Everything held well this weekend for the most part because of Labor Day. This film is at $39 million domestic, $56 million worldwide on a $50 million budget. This is Spike Lee's most successful film since Inside Man. It looks like it should be able to make over $80 million, honestly, worldwide, which I would say would give it a break-even to profit point. So look for about 45 to 50 mil domestic and 80 million, maybe even 100 million worldwide. But this is a successful movie. It's not some huge hit, but in the context of Spike Lee's career, this is actually very successful. What the fuck? Okay. So Black Klansman, still haven't seen it. Blood Money hated this movie. It sounds cringe, but I might still go see it. Happy Time Murders, $4.4 million, 53% drop, $17 million, $18 million. This is a big bomb from Brian Henson, a Melissa McCarthy vehicle, who's just had a huge dip in her career. For a lot, I mean, pretty much ever since The Boss, because that made money. But Ghostbusters was a bomb. Life of the Party didn't do great. Happy Time Murders. I still think she's a name, but I think she definitely needs to make a few films that bring her back, like to where she was at when Bridesmaids and Spy came out. You see this having a lot of comedians, though. A lot of actors have that dip for a while. Because you make some movies people think are funny, they like it, and comedy's hard. You make a bunch of bad movies and people, you know, they catch on. Unless you're Adam Sandler, it doesn't seem to hurt him very much. Anyway, though, I don't see that film bouncing back. People seem to be hating it. Alpha, directed by one of the Hughes brothers, who actually directed Book of Eli, which was mentioned earlier. 24% drop, $4.5 million, $27 million domestic, $47 million worldwide on a $51 million budget. Obviously, this film hasn't broke even yet, starring Cody Smith-McPhee. So we're going to have to wait and see on this movie if it can do better internationally. But so far, a very well-reviewed movie, but not doing that well. Disney's Christopher Robin is doing a lot better. It's kind of hanging on. $75 million budget. $5.1 million this weekend, 17% drop. $87 million domestic, $134 million worldwide from Mark Forster. Director of Finding Neverland, World War Z, The Kite Runner. Co-written by Tom McCarthy of Spotlight fame, The Station Agent. Despite, you know, the budget being so high, so this being kind of a disappointment, especially compared with other live-action adaptations of Disney classics. This film's hanging on. It might be able to make $200 million, so maybe it's not a total loss. But I definitely think they expected more from it. Operation Finale, $6 million on its opening weekend, $24 million budget, directed by Chris Weitz. That's crazy. Haven't seen him in a while. Who, of course, directed American Pie with his brother Paul. Down to Earth with Chris Rock. About a Boy, which is a movie I love. The Golden Compass, Twilight Saga, New Moon. I really like About a Boy. I did like Chris and Paul Weitz, or Wheats, however you say their name. But hasn't made anything worthwhile since About a Boy. Oscar Isaac's in this, Ben Kingsley. This isn't a great opening weekend, but with the budget, this really isn't that bad either. This is actually surprisingly okay, considering that, you know, I don't think there's a big marketing push for this film. Searching, the John Cho film, who was from American Pie. Very well reviewed, very well reviewed thriller, using social media and the internet age. And John Cho, is it John Cho? Yeah, John Cho, an actor I love, who was great in the film Columbus last year, one of my favorite movies last year. Getting a lot of acclaim for his performance. You would know him as, you know, Harold from Harold and Kumar. $6 million, 1,461% increase in 1,200 theaters. I think this film's going to do well. And it's a low budget film too. 14 million worldwide so far. It did well in limited release, and this is a good opening, and it's got like 92% on Rotten Tomatoes, so we'll have to wait and see, but I think this film's doing really well. Mission Impossible Fallout is on its way to become the highest grossing film of the franchise, not adjusted for ticket price inflation. That would be the first film and then the second film, which both made over 300 million. But the current record is Mission Impossible 2 with 215 million. MI6 should pass that. It's on its way to pass Ghost Protocol, once again not adjusted. Actually, adjusted, this would be the second lowest grossing film. The only one that it's ahead of is MI3. All the other films actually sold more tickets. $178 million budget. But here's the thing. This film opened in China this weekend and had the best opening of the franchise. 77 million in China. It looks like it's going to have a huge run there. No competition for the next few weeks. That brought its worldwide total to an astonishing 649 million. So I would say this film has passed its break-even point. And it's on track, as of right now, to make $750 million worldwide, if not more. And probably somewhere around 215 to 220 domestic. This is directed by Christopher McQuarrie, who directed the last film in the franchise, Rogue Nation. And if you go look at Tom Cruise's box office here, you have Fallout. Hold on one second. Let's get rid of this real quick. You have Fallout at 649. You have Rogue Nation at 682. And Ghost Protocol at 694. So 3 Mission Impossible films, and then right here 2 and 1 are his most successful films. And you have 3 films in the franchise in a row that have made over 600 million worldwide. Rogue Nation didn't make quite the same money as Ghost Protocol, which was actually just a huge hit. If you go look adjusted for ticket price inflation, Ghost Protocol made 246 million, and that would have put it well over 700 million. So for being the 4th film in the franchise and it had that long break between 3, that film was just a major breakout hit. The film did really fucking well. Like 694 million in 2011 was huge. It was much bigger than it would be now. But Fallout should pass both of these movies, which actually had pretty modest budgets, 145 and 150. 178, though, you understand why it would cost that much, just because everybody probably got paid a little bit more after the success of the last couple films. You know, this franchise basically got rebooted. But yeah, 3 films over 600 million. But yeah, this film should make over 700 million and more than that. I don't know if it'll reach 800 million. It would have had to make a little bit more domestically. But that puts Tom Cruise at 9.9 billion worldwide. And he will definitely pass $10 billion worldwide, which makes him one of the most successful actors. But if you look at the Mission Impossible franchise, the first one made 379, second one 370, Ghost Protocol 246, Rogue Nation 219. So this is about playing on par with Rogue Nation. But internationally, this is huge. It's doing big in China. It will make over $500 million internationally. It should make more than that. And it's definitely, it's definitely super, super successful. So, I mean, there's really no way to spin it. Hold on, I'm going to change this a little bit. Kind of center it a little bit better. Sorry. Okay. So anyway, yeah, huge opening in China, best of the franchise. This should become Tom Cruise's highest grossing film at 750 million. So expect Mission Impossible 7. And this film performed pretty much what expectations said. A lot of people said 700 million worldwide, especially after the reviews. Nobody was exactly sure with that $61 million opening weekend because it didn't overperform, but now it's doing very well. And the Chinese opening just put it over the top, really. Yeah, Pat said. Isn't it funny? That's when you know Inception became an iconic film. It changed how people use the word Inception, just how people incorrectly use literally, or everybody misuses ironically or irony anymore. People don't seem to know what irony means. You know, Inception is the beginning of something, right? It's the inception of something. But after that movie, because somebody asked me once when I brought up that Avatar's kind of become forgotten. Somebody said, "Will you name an original movie that's still iconic, that people still quote or reference?" And I said Inception, which came out, 8 years ago. And someone said, they said 8 years ago. I mean, no, I don't think the numbers are reliable for movies. Hollywood accounting is the thing. I definitely don't believe the budgets and the marketing for a movie, but I have nothing else to go off of. So that's basically what it is. But I brought up Inception to someone. They were like, "What?" And I go, "Okay." And then they, kind of shut down the argument because people now say Inception something, right? And they're referring to layers. If something has layers like the Inception thing where they're in multiple dreams, people go somethingception. They do it all the time. You go to Burger King and you're like, if you get a burger with, I mean, it just happens in my life randomly, and everyone does it. People from all over, and they'll be like, somethingception. Like right there, you just did Patception, which means 8 years later, people still have Inception recognized that it changed how people use the word Inception. They're referencing the movie more than the actual word. Or people say, well, Inception this idea into someone's mind, So that's an original movie that stayed iconic throughout the years that people still reference. People reference that haven't even seen the movie. So that argument that, people forget all movies and Avatar is just forgotten, just like that's not true. I'm going to read some of your comments I passed. Did you ever talk about Boots Riley's criticism of Black Klansman? I did with Blood Money. It's definitely that criticism I was expecting. They're saying that, and a lot of critics said this, that Spike Lee sided with the cops, which means he completely misunderstands the Black Lives Matter movement in the modern Trump era. So it's based off a real story, okay? This was an actual guy. Even though Adam Driver's character wasn't actually Jewish in real life, which is weird because the film has a lot of anti-Semitic stuff, and Spike Lee has said anti-Semitic things throughout his entire career. So I find it very odd. He's almost doing a thing like where you say, "Oh, filmmaker can't make a movie like this." Spike Lee, as a black man's making a film with a Jewish character who wasn't actually Jewish and is making a movie filled with racism towards Jews as a black filmmaker. So if you're holding Spike Lee to his own standards of criticism, like he tells Quentin Tarantino he can't use the N-word, he shouldn't be able to use racial slurs towards Jews. So there's hypocrisy in that. But that criticism is silly simply because this was a real story. A guy actually infiltrated the KKK by pretending to be a white guy who was a cop. I mean, it's true. So it's not glorifying the police or siding with them. It's just staying loyal in that sense to what this guy did. So they're upset that Spike Lee didn't villainize the police because apparently all police have to be racist white guys for a movie. That seems to be the criticism I've seen racked up against the movie by people who otherwise praise it, even though they're not criticizing how insane some of the parallels are to the Donald Trump era or the use of Charlottesville and all that. See. Of course, I saw the Red Letter Media review of Last Jedi. Yes. Yeah, literally stopped meaning literally. It just became hyperbole. Yeah, when people refer to the Matrix. I mean, it's definitely... But that did happen with Inception. Inception did become... a film where it changed the word and it stayed iconic. People remember the top spinning. People all do the blah, blah. I mean, that's from Inception. People still reference the sound effect. Blah, do, 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 blah. Spike Lee will be eaten by his own. I don't think so. I think he's going to get Oscar nominations. I think he's going to get nominated for, like, Best Director and all that. I think they're going to... I mean, I think this film's just going to get all sorts of praise it doesn't deserve. Black Klansman does comment on Donald Trump, Dragon. The whole movie's about Donald Trump. He actually even shows Trump in the movie, in the end credits. The whole movie is about Donald Trump and they even say in the movie, "Let's make America great again." The whole film's premise is using the 70s story to reflect where we are now and how things are super racist now. And we have a racist, evil leader. And how that would never happen in the context of the thing of the 70s. That's legit the hook of Black Klansmen. I mean, that's why they loved it. I mean, you'll see this. Black Klansman gets overpraised. Black Panther gets overpraised. You know, because they all have a commentary. Pretty much, if you're a filmmaker right now that's not a white male and you make a movie shitting on the current administration, or you do something about race or anything like that, you're going to get praised right now. This is a very good time to be like a black filmmaker or a female filmmaker, because you don't have to make a great movie right now to get praised. You can be Greta Gerwig and make Lady Bird. You can be you know, Get Out, even though I liked Get Out, that was very overpraised, and you know why it was overpraised, because we're in a politically charged time. So you can get a lot of claim right now without making a great movie. There is no standard for certain filmmakers right now, and you'll see this in the reviews. You know, this isn't some conspiracy theory. Just go read the reviews of some of these movies and what critics are saying when they give it 4 stars. They're not talking about how good the story is or the acting or the technical aspects of the film. They're talking about how it relates to society right now and the social commentary. I mean, that this is a running thread you'll see throughout these movies. Yeah, I was kind of disappointed in the Plinkett review. I actually thought it was one of his weaker reviews. Oh yeah, Dinesh, Death of a Nation. So anyway, MI6, great performance. Doing great at the box office. Tom Cruise's star is still strong, at least with this franchise. The Meg continues to have a great run. Great win for Warner Brothers, who just have an amazing fucking year. They had a great year last year with It and all that, but they're having an awesome year, especially when you look at the #1, but we'll get to that, which is officially now a breakout hit that's making a shitload of money. But the Meg, 10.5 million this weekend, 17% drop. That's an amazing hold. It's at 123 million domestic, 467 million worldwide. This film will make 500 million worldwide. $130 million budget, 100 mil marketing. This film will definitely break even. I don't know if it'll make a lot of profit, but this looked like it was going to be a bomb. And so they keep 45% of the gross from China on this one. So, you know, shockingly high opening weekend. The multiplier's decent in America and worldwide over 500 million. So, yeah, from the director of Cool Runnings, the Meg is a major success. I mean, when you consider everything, yeah. I like Get Out too. I don't dislike Get Out. I just think it's very overrated. I think Get Out's a fine movie. Yeah, that's all you gotta do, JG. That's all they care about. Welcome to the modern state of art. Oh, that it was things that have all been said before about the movie, and that he didn't explore things like Luke Skywalker's character. I was hoping it was gonna be like a 2-hour Plinkett review that really. I mean, I like the wine part with Rich. I like the vacation segment, and I like the Star Trek TNG stuff. But outside of that, it was like, I mean, after Mahler's video especially, it just wasn't one. I don't think it was as good as the Ghostbusters review. And I don't know. I just don't think it was a great Plinkett review. I think it was solid. It might just be the movie itself has been criticized. I mean, he acknowledges that in the video, but I still think they could have put a little bit more effort in. I was just hoping he would go into Mark Hamill and Luke Skywalker more. I think he could have explored a lot more things. I think it could have been like 3 parts. I don't think it needed to be an hour. I think it could have been longer. It should have been longer. I don't think it was that funny. I think Rian Johnson being his son is funny, but I don't think it was as funny as it could be. It's not as funny as some of the other Plinkett reviews, and the editing wasn't as good as some of the other Plinkett reviews. I didn't laugh nearly as much as I did during the Ghostbusters review. He's like, stop dancing, stop dancing. And that was just more revealing. You know, in the Ghostbusters review, finding out really how much improvisation there was in the behind-the-scenes footage in Paul Feig, that really informed a lot of why that movie was so bad. Last Jedi, I felt like I didn't learn anything new. It was just kind of like a confirmation bias video. No, Rich Evans does look like Ryan. Where's the connection to German culture? I don't know. Maybe because a lot of Germans live here. A lot of people here are German. Families were German immigrants. I don't know. The World War II thing, maybe that carried over because there was so much German stuff during World War II, World War I, too. I mean, but there was so much propaganda and movies being made about Germany and history books with German stuff in it. I mean, in the automobile industry, there's a lot of reasons. I mean, Germany's just been prominent in American culture over the last century and now, so you know, things probably just carried over naturally. You know, things became part of the language. Yeah, they did put more polish into the Ghostbusters review. I thought it was all stuff we didn't hear before. I don't know. I thought everything was stuff I've heard before. The thing with the planet, and then Mahler brought that up. I brought that up. That it's stupid that her plan is to get them to escape onto the planet. That's definitely a point that's been brought up before. I've seen that in video with Ryan Johnson talking about how he doesn't want people to like his movies a while ago. Geeks and Gamers did a video on that. Yeah, I mean, the only thing he brought up that was kind of was it being a comedy film. That was kind of a new point, but her not telling Poe her plan. What are you talking? That's been discussed to death. Hold the door, not telling her plan to Poe. I mean, that was all stuff that we've heard before. How it kind of gets interesting with Kylo and Rey, and then they ruin it. That was something that's been discussed to death. I'm just coughing. I don't know why. Yeah, I mean, I'm German. That's my background. I mean, I'm American, but my family's German. So I mean, German angst describes the specific fear of Germans when it comes to German history and stuff. That is a real term. That people have fear of Germans? I mean, I think there's definitely, I think that's self-explanatory. Why there might be a stigma towards Germans. I mean, it's okay, Kevin. I'm not, like, arguing with... If you thought it was great, that's fine with you, man. That's fine with me. I thought it was kind of disappointing. Secretly. I don't think Red Letter Media is over the hill. I just think their Star Wars stuff's not as interesting as it used to be. Oh, the Germans fear. Oh, okay. Well, that was random, Noel. Ozark Season 2 is out. But did they fucking pay you to say that, you fucking shill? Get the fuck out of my chat. You corporate whore. Take that fucking dick out of your mouth right now and put my dick in it. We're never getting Plinkett reviewing The Matrix, so I'm just letting you know that right now. That's not happening. Although I would love if he reviewed The Matrix sequels. You have a good day at work, Flower. Stay strong. Mike, yeah, Mike just had more invested in the prequels. I mean, he's very cynical about Star Wars now with age, so of course, you know, of course he's going to be less interested in talking about it right now. Yeah, that's the thing. Red Letter Media's moved past Star Wars. I think they moved past it a long time ago. I've sort of moved past it. I don't really care about Star Wars anymore, and I haven't cared about Star Wars for years. I remember I used to be obsessed with Star Wars, talking about Star Wars. I find it very boring. I think, yeah, I would have loved Plinkett reviews on Batman v Superman. Yeah, for sure. No question. There's a lot of Plinkett reviews. I wish there was just more Plinkett reviews in general. I mean, that's... You know, I love Plinkett, but especially got his Star Trek TNG movie reviews are because those movies are fucking terrible, and people think First Contact's good. I love those ones. His review of Generations, oh my god, it's amazing. Although there was a guy I used to watch it, I was a big fan of. He came back recently, but he doesn't still make a lot of content. Confused Matthew, and he did reviews of the Matrix sequels that were really good, and he also did reviews of the TNG movies. And I was a fan of his work for a while, even though sometimes he would just say shit that was crazy. Although he admitted later some of his, like his No Country for Old Men review is fucking horrible. And I actually, a few years later, heard him say, don't watch that review, it is bad. So he acknowledged, his 2001 review was just fucking horrible. Like, there's sometimes, or Spirited Away, he'd review a movie and you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Where he'd come off like he's retarded or something. But he admitted later to that being, although he said he loved Last Jedi, so who knows. But I used to be a fan of his. Would Old Man Luke flying his X-Wing have worked in The Last Jedi? Yeah, sure. I think that would have been badass. I mean, I'm happy we got it too. It wasn't like bad. I just was expecting, I don't know. I thought it would be on the level of like him ripping apart Phantom Menace, but it definitely wasn't. The TNG movies are just miscalculated in every way. All of them are fucking bad. Generations, though, is especially egregious. I mean, it's not the most boring one. Boringness one, you know, is Mike, but it's a horrible, horrible movie. It's kind of the original Force Awakens in a way. Star Trek Generations. It's very similar. And how horribly it executes things and fucks off, like insults previous characters and Kirk and Han's death, and it, you know, just being a bad film that's cashing in on a nostalgia of a franchise. Oh no, ER's videos are great. If he wants to, I mean, I would like to see a Plinkett solo review. Why it's not horrible. I don't think he will. But I'd prefer if he just talk about new things. I mean, that's what made Ghostbusters so exciting. You know, I think he should talk about other movies that aren't Star Wars. No, my other son, Zack Snyder. He's fucking retarded. Yeah. I mean, I'm up for that. I think Batman v Superman would be a great Plinkett review. I think that would, because there's so much shit to pick apart with that movie and how horribly written it is. All right, let's get to the #1 movie. There was no box office film of the week because nothing really new came out that made an impact. So once again, Crazy Rich Asians repeats its run at the box office, 3 weeks at #1. This is an amazing third weekend, 22.1 million, 10.9% drop, so you know, about 11%. Yeah, $30 million budget from John Chu. And overall, over Labor Day weekend, including Monday, it's made $117 million domestic, $136 million worldwide. This film is on track to make $175 to $190 million domestically as of right now. This is a breakout hit. I said after opening weekend, this film's doing really great, but people thought this was going to be some major hit that it hasn't quite met yet. By the second weekend, it became clear that was the case, actually, and I was wrong. And now it's just full on a huge hit. This is doing, like, I'd say I compare it to The Help that came out a few years ago. This film could even make 200 million. It's a crowd pleaser. It's a mom movie. I've seen it. I've seen it, folks. Okay? It's a crowd pleaser. It's a mom movie. It's a movie to go take your girlfriend on a date. Okay? She'll like it. Maybe have some Blue Apron afterwards. Okay, folks? Alright? It's a fine, enjoyable, okay movie. We've seen this stuff all before, folks. Nothing special about it. But you know, people are probably going to like the movie. That's the kind of movie you think you'd like. You probably like it. Rom-coms aren't my things, folks. Alright? I was upset there was no Asian gangs in it. I was expecting more from that. But there's certainly some rich Asians right now. And I guess people are crazy for loving it so much. This overpraised film. Which, yeah. I liked what Your Movie Sucks said about it. This is a movie for people that want to pat themselves on the back for seeing a film with a non-white cast, but don't want to watch a movie with subtitles. And just going off my Facebook timeline, I would say this is a completely true statement. One of the more edgy things he said in a while, when he says that stuff, it's like, fuck, dude. I hate it. Sometimes Adam's so red-pilled. I swear to God. But yeah, $30 million, but this is huge. I mean, this film's going to be a big moneymaker for Warner Brothers. I think it's going to make $200 million. Worldwide, we don't know yet quite where it's going to end up because it hasn't opened everywhere yet. But I'd say over 300 to 400 million is definitely a thing. But the domestic totals, what's the real thing to point out here? There's definitely going to be a sequel. I'd say there's going to be 3 films. You could maybe compare this to The Devil Wears Prada or something like that, which made a shitload of money like a decade ago. Which I compared it to in my review of it. But this is a huge hit. Labor Day weekend just benefited this movie, and I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon. It's no doubt it's already made a profit. But yeah, I mean, 6% drop last weekend, 10% drop this weekend. So I assume next weekend this will drop in the teens. This is going to continue to make, like, you know, 20 million to 15 million for the next few weeks. I mean, this is just gonna, I'd say 200 million is definitely possible, but at least 180 million. So this is a huge hit, huge profits for Warner Brothers. Going to be one of the most successful films of the year. Going to kick off a franchise. They had a lot of things going for them. The Asian aspect, the media pushing this, it being based off a very popular book series. The rom-com people, I guess, waiting for... I mean, the only thing I'm happy about is this did bring the rom-com back. Rom-coms were dead. No rom-com had made over 20 million in its opening weekend years, and no rom-com had made over $100 million domestically, and this one's doing it. So that means that we're going to be getting romantic comedies again, for better or worse. But it's a genre I miss. I like Notting Hill. I like Four Weddings and a Funeral. I liked My Best Friend's Wedding. You know, I used to really like those movies. I like Pretty Woman. And I miss them. I mean, obviously, you know, I like the classic rom-coms. You know, I like the Philadelphia Story and all that stuff. But even in the 90s, I liked rom-coms. So it's nice that the genre maybe can make a comeback and we'll get some really quality films out of it down the road. The right film. Although this isn't a terrible movie. I don't want to make it seem like I think this movie's bad. I actually thought this movie is very serviceable and surprisingly, like, well made. But especially, like, the first half hour where it's like a screwball comedy. But yeah, this film's doing really fucking well, and I'd say that it's met all expectations that people seem to have for it. It was really hyped up. Let's go down the list a little bit and see if we're missing anything. I think Skyscraper's right under 300 million, 293 million, and Solo still hasn't made 400 million, and I don't think it will. God, that's a bad performance for a Star Wars movie. I mean, 213 mil domestic, like Ant-Man, you're like, okay. For Solo, you're like, ooh. It's really, honestly, that's actually not bad box office domestically. It's just the fact that it was such an expensive movie and it was Star Wars. Like, for, you know, another franchise, that really wouldn't be a bad domestic total. I mean, that's better than Mission Impossible, like, 6 and all that. It's just, yeah, it's not comparable. Let's see where the first Purge is at worldwide. Film's at 134 million, very successful. Michael Bay unfortunately makes more money. Spy Who Dumped Me Bomb, Sorry to Bother You in 8th Grade, kind of had disappointing runs. Let's see. Just looking to see if I missed anything. John McEnroe, In the Realm of Perfection. I want to go see that movie. Leave No Trace had a disappointing. I almost saw this movie. This was also playing on my I feel so bad. I missed this and Three Identical Strangers 8th grade. I wanted to see all of those movies. Sorry to bother you. I had a chance to go see all of these movies, and then I got this fucking job, and it ruined all of that. I'm still up for sane middle class Caucasians, personally. That's my go-to. I miss good rom-coms. I don't miss generic shitty rom-coms. I could say that, but I miss good I thought it was I mean, Notting Hill's great. Sane Europeans with average income. Did your step-parents like it? They're not my step-parents. My girlfriend's mother loved it. She laughed the whole movie. I don't really know how much her dad liked it. I didn't dislike the movie. I was enjoying the movie. It's actually kind of funny and charming. I mean, it's an enjoyable movie. It's a crowd-pleasing movie. Like, if you just want, it's very spectacle heavy. It's like, look at these beautiful locations and these beautiful people, and it's just unfortunately a lot of the dialogue and character stuff's generic. Michelle Yeoh, is that her name? Michelle Yeoh, who's amazing. She's great in it as this mother. This stiff mother is I mean, she gives a really commanding performance. Like, there's a lot of potential in the movie. It really could have been awesome. Like, there's actually a nice setup for a drama here where this family's like, no, fuck you, you American Chinese bitch, you white little bitch. We know you're white. I mean, like, about like them being racist and shit. I mean, it's in the movie, you know. And there's one part where they fucking kill a fish and put it in her bed like the Godfather, and they call her like a gold digging whore or something, and I was like, holy shit. I was like, I want more of this. I didn't see that coming. I definitely was influenced with one of my breakups by the girl I dated's family, for sure. That wasn't the main reason I broke up with her. I broke up mainly because me and her just fought all the time. And we just weren't getting along anymore, and I basically got tired of having her in my life. I didn't want her around anymore. But her parents, I especially hated her mother, and I think they influenced her and how she reacted to me, and I think they raised her a certain way that clashed with me. And so I definitely think that had an influence. And I dated this girl for like 3 years. But I broke up with her. But I'd say her family definitely contributed to it. That's the only time that's happened, though. Any other time I've ever dated a girl, her family's usually been one of the better parts of it. Typically, I get along with the mother and father a lot, and they honestly benefit dating her. You know, I mean, like, it's just a plus most of the time. Usually it's not a negative. Only that one time, really. And just her house was very boring, and I didn't like her family was boring, and the way they raised her and the way I'm not saying they were wrong, it just clashed with my way of thinking. And that bothered me, so it definitely influenced it. But every other relationship I've had, it's been a plus. No, my recent girlfriend I've been with for almost 4 years, and we're still together. No, this isn't my current girlfriend. No, I'm talking about past, because he asked me if I've ever broke up with a girl. I broke up with a girl. God, this was 6 years ago. I dated this girl. I dated this girl from when I was like 19 to 22. Or 20 to 22. I can't specifically remember how old I was. But after that, I dated probably like 4 other girls I had relationships with when I was 23. From 22 to 23, I had like 4 girlfriends. I had after I had that breakup, a few months after that, I dated a girl for about 2 months. I broke up with her. Then I dated another girl who dumped me. Then I dated another girl a couple months after that, and I broke up with her. And then I dated another girl who cheated on me with one of my best friends. And then after that, I dated another chick, and that just didn't work out. It was kind of a mutual thing. We just hung out a lot, and we realized we were getting along better as friends than we were as like lovers. That, you know, we liked hanging out and getting along, but it was just, and she was older. She was like 30 and I was 25, so there was this age thing, and I think she was just at a different place. She was really sexy. I mean, she was a sexy woman, but it just, I don't know, maybe I wasn't mature enough for the relationship, right? I was a little intimidated by her. She had a lot more experience in ways than I did, and she was just very sexual. And then I had some, you know, I dated some girls, like 3 or 4 dates, and that didn't go anywhere. Either they, you know, stopped texting me or it didn't work out, you know. And then I met my current girlfriend I mean, I already knew her like a year and a half before we started dating. We weren't really friends. I just knew her and we had mutual friends. And then we started dating in December of 2014 when I was 24. And we've been dating now for almost 4 years. In December, it'll be 4 years. It'll be our anniversary. So that's been my dating history over the last few years. Well, a lot of dates though, just it didn't, you know, one date, like go on a date with a girl and then, you know, it wouldn't work out. You know, I went on like probably like 20 something dates that didn't work out. Or 2 or 3 dates with a girl that didn't work out. But as far as like relationships, right, I dated a girl like at least a month. I guess that makes let's see, that breakup I had, and then the next girl, and the next girl, and the girl. So I had 5 girlfriends, and then the one I have now currently. So I've had 6 girlfriends in the last 10 years. I've had 6 girlfriends, I guess. Since pretty much I've been in my 20s. When I was a teenager, I don't remember how many girlfriends I had, honestly. Because that was stupid. Sometimes you'd be boyfriend, girlfriend for like 2 weeks or some shit, so. I know when I was a teenager I dated at least like 10 girls. But Mission Impossible 7, I don't know. I guess just go for broke and just kill Tom Cruise on camera. Keep it in the movie. I guess just have him die on camera. Is how you top it. You'll be fine, Noel. You'll be fine. You're still not friends with your cheating best friend, are you? No, I never talked to either one of them again. It was very awkward for a couple years, actually. Because we knew so many of the same people. I was gonna move in with this guy. He was gonna live with me, and now everyone's gonna say I got cucked. He was going to live, but the girl I was dating, she was bipolar and fucking psycho. I just didn't know she was bipolar when we were dating. She ended up cheating. I won out in the end though, because she ended up cheating on that guy like 40 times. She slept with like everyone, and they dated for a year, and she just banged everyone behind his back. And then she ended up like, I mean, there's actually a horror story with that whole thing, but it would be too personal to tell here. But she was scary, very scary, manipulative, liar, like don't date bipolar chicks. I'll just give you that advice. Don't, oh, crazy pussy, but no, I was gonna live with this guy with another guy. We were looking at apartments together, and I was dating her and very happy for about 2 months, and then somebody came and showed me some Facebook messages that they were sending each other, and they had been flirting the whole time, and talking behind my back, and neither one of them felt the, you know, it's weird too, because I always said this. I said if they would have come and just told me like, hey, we like each other and we want to date, I probably would have been okay with it. I probably been like, well, okay, you know, because I'm not all like egotistical. I could have dealt with that, but it was the fact that they went behind my back and they were going around and like making out around my, and then, you know, everyone had to come tell me. That's the part that sucked. Was the getting lied to. It was a subterfuge. If they had just been honest with me, I would have been cool with it. But after that, I blocked both of them, and I haven't talked. I saw both of them at places after that, but I never talked to either one of them ever again. I honestly can't tell you that story. But I will give advice to any guy: do not date a bipolar girl. They will seem like they love you more passionately than any girl you've ever dated. And then they will do the most cruel things that any girl will ever do to you. And both of them, they will be completely legitimate in their feelings when they do it. And they'll need you, and they'll make you feel like you have to help them and take care of them, and they'll be vulnerable. And then they'll just be like the coldest fucking ice queen. It's scary. I mean, it's legit like a horror movie with bipolar women. So, and they're flaky. They like to jump around. This is very common. If see a null. If they were gonna do a new Silent Hill movie, I'd prefer something that was more like Silent Hill 2. I mean, yes, Aiden is a girl I would say avoid. And I don't mean that with I don't mean that negatively. I mean, I don't have a problem with Aiden Paladin. I know some of you guys think I do. I don't. I like her content, but yes, do not date Aiden Paladin. I think Hard Bastard probably learned this, and now she's dating Sinatra, and I don't know who she's dating now, quite honestly, but she would be a prime example. If you ever hear her on live streams, that sometimes she's so cool and funny, and then you hear her crying on the crowd stream, or you hear on other streams where she just sounds fucking crazy. That's what it's like dating a bipolar chick. Especially like when they drink and stuff like that. But like you'll be hanging out there like, man, this chick's the coolest chick ever. And she's super cool and fun. And then there's other times she's just crying like a baby and acting crazy and yelling and being loud and weird. I mean, I remember one time Fraser Danger was on a live stream with Aiden that was after the Weekend Chimp out, and I was listening to it, and she was just acting crazy. Like the shit she was saying and acting with them was crazy. And I remember like Fraser like, God, she sounds nuts. And then other times she's really laid back and cool. I mean, she definitely seems like she likes to hear herself talk, but so do I, so that's not even negative. And she sure does like to push the I'm a scientist thing a lot, but yeah, I've seen it with her, just her personality, how she fluctuates, and it's like that when imagine dating them and being sexually involved. They're usually very sexual too, bipolar chicks. Frasier's not going down that road, I can promise you that. But yeah, they're very, very sexual, and they use that. That's part of the whole thing is being sexual. Is they're basically women without any of the morality and empathy that women have. If women actually used the power of pussy for evil. Diablo TV series? That sounds fucking crazy. It sounds bad. It sounds like I just shit on Aiden Paladin real bad. I mean, she might be on medication and have herself figured out, so I don't want to assume that about her, to be honest. But I would recommend never dating a bipolar girl. Because I'm not just basing this off my one experience anecdotally. Like, this is a story you hear a lot from guys. Who is Aiden a hottie? I mean, I don't think she's a hottie, but that's just my opinion. You know. Don't take that as I don't think she's a bad looking chick, but I don't know if I'd use the term hottie, which is something like a gay guy would say, like, what a hottie. It's kind of a gay way to refer to a woman, but she's got a nice body. You know, she's thick. She's just not my type though. I mean, that doesn't mean like other guys don't find her attractive. She has a nice voice. Her voice is nice. She's gonna listen to this someday. I mean, even though she doesn't know who the fuck I am. We're gonna end up on a live stream together and she's gonna be like, you're that fucking guy. And I was like, tell me one thing I said that wasn't true. Of course I've seen Vision of Escaflowne. It's one of the great masterpieces of anime. It somehow mixes like 3 different genres and isn't a total fucking clusterfuck. Escaflowne's terrific. When it shouldn't be. It somehow is a masterpiece despite... I mean, it's got one of the best scores ever. Not just for an anime, just amazing. Well, they're making a sequel to Big Trouble in Little China with The Rock. But I don't think the TV series is going to happen. Although I would love that with Kurt Russell. Fuck yeah. Son of a bitch must pay. One of my most quoted lines ever. It's a great fucking... Son of a bitch must pay. So good. So fucking good. And can be used all the time. Yeah, Vision. Yeah, Escaflowne is awesome. There's especially one song I love. What the fuck is... I think it's called like Blood Curse or something. It's so fucking good. Escaflowne is so good. I used to have that old show on DVD. Well, see, that's the thing. Kathleen Kennedy might be right that the Force is female. You know? Because what really has the power to control how things move and how people interact than pussy? I mean, why would Luke go out on his journeys and Obi-Wan and all these people die and Kylo be so conflicted if it wasn't pussy? So she might have a point with the Force being female. I mean, pussy's the only thing that is that powerful. I'll put that in my young mind, Pat. I'm young in my dating career. Yes, take that advice. That's one of my top. Just do not date crazy chicks. A lot of guys would tell you that they're the best sex you'll ever have. You'll hear this a lot about dating a crazy chick, and they're good in bed. I'm not going to say that's not true, but it's not worth it. If you can have a one-night stand with a crazy chick, then maybe. But if you get in some kind of relationship thing, no. It's best to avoid it at all costs. What was the Kelly transgender recent news? And she's gonna start crying and scratch your arms, then ask you to make love there on stream. I feel like I already know who Aiden is totally just from her live streams. Like, I wish she had never done live streams, because when I was just watching her content, I thought it was great, her videos, and then once I started hearing her talk, I'm like, oh god, I know exactly who you are. I know everything about you. I could break her down one, like, I already know exactly how she acts. I mean, all of it. I met way too many chicks exactly like you. What type of score should Denis Villeneuve use for his two-part Dune adaptation? I think very classical, like, or orchestral. Like, I think it should be. Some people would say it should be more like a synthy or digital or something like that. So, which I could see. Like, but I would prefer if it was like epic. I mean, I think she should get Toto. But you know, I think it should be epic. Like, you know, like a lot of strings and I think it should be a grand, like a score for like Lawrence of Arabia or something like that. I think it should be a grand epic film score. Oh, has Kelly been speaking about it anymore? Whatever. She's gonna milk that for all it's worth, basically. That's okay, dude. One night stands really aren't that great. Don't let people fool you into thinking one night stands or hookups are better somehow than having sex with somebody that you like. That isn't just hookups can feel very cold and clinical. You can have a hookup, and it's very clinical to where because part of sexuality is mental. It's being in love with someone. It's feeling connected with someone or winning someone over, getting them to like you and feeling comfortable with them. And then you can grow the intimacy and the sex and all that. Sex can get better if you're with someone you love being with and they like being with you. You get more comfortable with each other and the sex can get better. It can evolve. You can evolve sexually together. To where one night stand, you know, if you're just having sex that one time with that person, that can either be a good experience where it's fun, or it can be shitty where you didn't really have that good of a time, and you kind of even regret having the sex. You're like, yeah, I could have just jerked off, you know. I had to do, and I would have had to do a lot less work. You know, some girls are dead fucks. I mean, this is true. Or it's disappointing after you build it up in your head so much. Where I find that, yeah, the more you can develop it, aging isn't even bad in that sense. Some people think that, oh, I wish every girl I dated would stay 19 and I would get older. You know, it's nice to grow with someone. And you know, you don't always just get tired after you have sex with the same person like 50, 100 times or something like that. You know, you have to learn to keep challenging each other and finding new ways to find pleasure. And it makes you feel good. It makes you feel good to make them feel good. And they feel good making you feel good. And that's part of what makes it sexy, is the consent that you have between each other, the comfort, that you don't have to have that nervousness or like that. Even though that's sexy, the awkwardness, the not knowing, the first time you pull a girl's panties off and you get that approval. That's a sexy feeling. But there's also a lot of sexiness in being with someone a long time and you know, still feeling attracted to them. And you know, they get a new outfit and you get to see them a little differently. You know, and you get to try more things. There's that line in Dr. Horrible. Captain Hammer says, I just might sleep with the same girl twice. I hear the second time's better. You get to do the weird stuff. You know, there's some truth to that, you know. The second time's better, you get to do the weird stuff. The 8th, 9th, 10th time can be better in that same way. So I would say just don't get hung up on hookup culture. I think having continuous sex is much better than chasing sex and getting rejected all the time. I mean, not that, you know, it's not like I got rejected all the time. I wasn't like terrible with women, but it's better to have continuous sex, in my opinion. You know, it also makes you a better guy when you're horny all the time. You can act really fucking stupid, or be too, I don't know, aggressive. Where if you're getting sex on a continuous basis, I think it makes you a lot calmer and adjusted. I think it's a benefit to a man to be getting sex on a regular basis. VR will be, once we get to transhumanism. Me and Aiden were almost on a stream together more than once. I was almost on the Weekend Chimp Out. She was on there, and I've almost been on a couple streams with Aiden. I've been very close to talking to Aiden. I don't think that's gross, Joseph. We're all adults here. Yeah, Toto did do the score. That's why I brought Toto up. I miss the rains down in Arrakis. I bless the rains down in Arrakis. I don't know. I don't think Sinatra will ever stop that relationship because it's just a benefit to him. She's gonna have like 150,000 subscribers. So he has nothing to lose from being... honestly, he has only but to gain by being in that relationship. She has everything to lose. So I'd say Aiden's going to end that relationship before Sinatra does. It was not testosterone. It was actually the opposite, Bathory. I was being very gentlemanlike and talking about love and intimacy. I was not talking about it like a male pig or something like that. It was a very sweet, just with some crude language. Yeah, bring Toto back. That would be great. Well, the quiz that's had a rack isn't always on time. Is it always on time? Watch the fuck out of that movie. Bring Sting back. Fuck it. No, don't you guys know it's a show now? It's called Get Laid. The show we pitch with Blood Money. Welcome to Get Laid with the Doctor, Dr. Pussy Money, and Pat. Yes, there is. I would say seducing someone and getting them to like you is actually the more fulfilling part than the physical side of sex or sexuality, in my experience. And people who really chase it, they want more of that. That's why I'm not totally sure that the VR thing will sell all the way. Like, guys just getting virtual girlfriends or getting... I mean, people are going to do it, don't get me wrong. People are going to watch VR porn and bang VR versions of chicks. But, like, part of what makes it as a guy is the pursuit. I can't speak for women just because I'm not a female, but as a guy, part of it is that you get the girl to like you. That's why I hate when feminists or SJWs talk about consent and they act like we don't understand it. Part of what turns us on as males is consent. We get turned on by it. They don't fucking understand what it is to be a male. They try to define us and act like we're anti-consent. We just want the pussy. But it's actually the opposite. Most men are very turned on by the act of consent. The woman saying, it's okay for you to do this stuff to me, turns men on. It just shows you how far off they are with understanding men when they talk about us, and they don't even understand one of the most crucial parts to men and their sexuality is getting consent. It's one of the turn-ons for most men. Because that means you won her over. This sex talk's brought to you by Blue Apron, folks. Okay, gang? Be safe. Wear a Blue Apron condom. Okay, it's only $80 a month. That's cheap, folks. It's really affordable. Oh, I would love if Bathory and Aiden went at it. Holy shit, that's my dream stream. Because, you know, they're like, hey, we got Aiden, she's our scientist and all that. She's a social scientist with a PhD in media psychology. And then I'll be like, yo, I got a geneticist. I think that's what Bathory is. But I'm like, yo, I got Bathory. I bring Bathory in, I bring in my guns. I'm like, let's do this, bitch. Oh, Elastigirl. God damn, is she hot. I'm very happy he's doing the Death Note review, too. I would say most men, at least in my life experience, I find that most men are turned on by approval of women wanting them, not, you know. I even think guys who are players that sleep with a lot of women, manipulate women, part of what turns them on as a guy is that they can get multiple women to want to sleep with them. I think that's part of the turn on. Is that they won, in a sense. That's my thinking on it. I don't think it's just because he's like, I want to slam the pussy. I actually think it's because he can get the girl to give him that. I think that's part of what turns him on. Because you get approval. I mean, that's as humans, we seek that. We seek people approving us. Telling us that we're attractive, making us feel attractive, that we're likable, that we're not annoying, or and that they're not scared of being intimate with us. Most men do not even have consciousness. I think bipolar people should just stay on medication. That would be my best advice. Is don't self-medicate and don't drink on your medication. Pat, you sneaky bastard. You sneaky son of a bitch. Yeah, so fuck it. They can throw the Aiden scientist thing at me, but I have a scientist in my pocket, so... whatever. I'll bring my chick scientist to your chick scientist, Abe. Let's do this. Let's do this! Good morning, starshine. The earth says hello. You twinkle above us. You twinkle below. Yeah, Craig isn't here this week, I've just noticed. Or Fallen, so there's nobody to hit on Bathory this week. Somebody take up the job of hitting on Bathory. Oh, you should definitely make the Indiana Jones 5 poster the greatest screenplay ever written. Me and Blood Money wrote. That would be Steven Spielberg's best film since the 90s. It's a masterpiece that needs to be made that won't be made. I almost want to kill myself, it's so depressing. I'm like a villain in a movie. What do you do with that kind girl, Bathory? She has her purpose. She serves it. That is all. You use her. She's just a tool to you. What's so wrong with that? Everyone is just a tool that I'm using. Yeah, one of you needs to hit on Bathory. It wouldn't be Box Office Addict without it. I can't tell you my Indy 5 script, it's too good. We've already made that decision to not reveal it because it was too good. I'm not even kidding you. That's no hyperbole. My Indiana Jones 5 script with Blood Money is the best Indiana Jones film since Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's a better story than Last Crusade, Temple of Doom, and Kingdom of Crystal Skull. It mixes elements of Munich, 70s thrillers, like, let's say, trying to think of a good one, like something like All the President's Men. It transitions the Indiana Jones role to Chris Pratt in a brilliant way. It shares elements of Batman Begins and Casino Royale. It's just great. The villain's the best villain possibly in the franchise. The themes of the movie are amazing. It involves actually Israel and Palestine. The Pentagon's involved in the movie. It's got an amazing ending. The ending is very similar to the ending to Batman Begins. It's just great. I mean, overall, it goes back to everything that made the Ark of the Covenant stuff work in Raiders. But it's also what we said to each other was we wanted it to be the movie that The Force Awakens should have been. That was the idea going into working on it, was this should be the film that Force Awakens tried to be and failed to be. Do a good version of Rey. Do a good version of Dr. Jones Old. Do a good version of this generational thing. And jumping ahead, 20, 30 years. And as the other films homaged films from the 30s, 40s stuff, do a film that's homaging the 70s and ties into Vietnam and stuff like that. And we went in with that premise, and it just God, the more we kept talking about it, we were like, shit, this is good. And then we got really far into it, and I'm like, man, this is the best one since Raiders, like on paper. And he's like, dude, I fucking know. And I love Blood Money said it's an apology for Munich, because he really hates Munich as a Jew. And we have a lot of discussions about Munich, but I love he broke down. He said it's an apology for Munich, which I think is a great way to describe what the film is. It's basically Munich meets Raiders of the Lost Ark, because it's actually got elements that are more serious Steven Spielberg film, like Munich or Schindler's List or Saving Private Ryan, but mixed with the escapism of Raiders of the Lost Ark. And it's got a bit of Bridge of Spies in it, too. But it's a mix of two Spielbergs. It's kind of a hybrid movie. And, just the thing we did with the Indiana Jones and the name and all that, it's so good. It's so good. I mean, I think it's a movie that would make, I just sound like the most arrogant prick ever. But God, it's a movie I think would make $2 billion worldwide and be loved. I mean, it's such a... Well, I mean, we were getting emotional about it. When I got to the end, I was like, fuck, this is a movie I want to see. This is a movie I want to see so bad. Especially the ending we came up with, the last scene. It's so fucking perfect. And the villains and the way we connected the political stuff with bringing it back to Raiders especially. And it was just awesome. Yeah, guys, keep using those lines. Maybe one day I'll talk about my Indiana Jones 5 script. Oh, well, look at the big pants on Pat with the big Indiana Jones idea. There's a German saying, "Dumm fickt gut." I guess there's no need for translation. I mean, he definitely... I mean, I think the worst Steven Spielberg films have that, the schlock, for sure. I'd say what's brilliant about him, though, when he's at his best, is when he overcomes that and his films are emotional. I mean, I think that's when he's at his best. Like Close Encounters, it kind of transcends. When Richard Dreyfuss gets to the aliens and he gets to go on the ship at the end, it's really kind of like you get to go on that ship with him. And you get to think about what's next. And if you were in that moment, I mean, when Steven Spielberg's on point, that stuff, that sentimentality feels earned and organic because he's that way as a person. But I definitely think he captured it brilliantly in E.T., and he does try to... Yes, it does pass the torch to Chris Pratt as the new Indiana Jones, but it does it in a way that's not cheap. He is not Indiana Jones. He's not Indiana Jones in the movie. He's a new character. But he spiritually becomes the new Indiana Jones, I will say, throughout the movie. but he is not Indiana Jones. Because we were trying to figure out a way, how do you reboot Indiana Jones like a reboot sequel, like what Force Awakens tried to do? But you don't just do it in a cheap way, where it's like James Bond. How do you actually organically make a new Indiana Jones? And I think we cracked it. I really do. And I think there's especially one element we do that connects to Vietnam and Chris Pratt's character that's very clever. And that element kind of makes the whole thing work. And if the movie could get made, I think it would be Steven Spielberg's best film in 20 years. I mean, really, I'm not trying to like humble brag. It's one of the best things I've done is working on the script. You know, we didn't write the whole script out mainly. We wrote a detailed outline, but the outline was like, holy fucking shit, this is amazing. Like, it's more of a spy thriller than it is an Indiana Jones like action movie. It's more like a 70s spy thriller, but that's what's so good about it. Is that it's you know, it's a new take on that genre with the character. Oh, see you, Kevin. I don't want Scott Eastwood, no. Sorry. I'm not on the Scott Eastwood bandwagon. It's Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt's definitely the choice. It's Jurassic World movies. He'd be terrific, especially the character we came up with. I'll just say his name's Jack in Indiana Jones 5 script we came up with, but he would be, yeah, it's got to be Chris Pratt. Honestly, nobody else could do it as well. Well, that's a nice thing to put in the chat, Joseph. Okay, I might do that dragon. I remember in that 70s show, Casey Kelso, Luke Wilson, and Eric's like, you don't hurt him. And he's like, what are you, the love police foreman? He puts his hand up. He's like, hey, don't get me, love police. I miss Luke Wilson. I really like him. I like both the Wilson brothers. I mean, it might be because I'm from Texas like them, but... So how was Eating the Bullet that was the first half of Crazy Rich? It was okay. It's been okay. I mean, it really is. It's okay. It's not like a terrible... It's just a very generic, you've seen it all before movie. It's not like cringe. I'm sorry, Bathory. I've opened the Ark of the Covenant and all that's shooting out is a bunch of dicks. Close your eyes, Bathory. Don't look at it. Me and you are tied to the pole right now. Don't look at it. Don't look at it, Bathory. Close your eyes. Don't look at all the dicks. All the dicks are making everyone's face melt. Don't look at it. Dragon Slayer makes a Star Wars poster as if it were hard sci-fi. I mean, could you imagine a hard sci-fi Star Wars film? That'd be fucking weird. Like you go in and it's cerebral and shit. It's like Solaris. You're like, what the fuck? What is this? Like it's the guy made Ex Machina, Alex Garland, like it's like he makes it and you're like, whoa. I liked your Star Wars poster, dude. I thought that was awesome with Kylo Ren's lightsaber being like the roof for the movie I came up when I rewrote the trilogy. Which Terrible Lizard should have done a video out of that, but that was awesome. That's a cool poster, man. Like legit. Yeah, Clockwork Orange, you're having to watch. We're not playing Beethoven, we're playing K-pop. You're like, no, don't ruin K-pop for me. Wait, why have people edited that clip more? Like how people edit the Childish Gambino, This Is America and all that. Why haven't people edited the Clockwork Orange clip more, the Levico treatment where it's different music? Like he's got his eyes open and they're playing like 80s music and he's like, don't ruin this for me. And they're playing K-pop. That would be a fucking dank meme. Yeah, I would watch Garland Star Wars as well, now that I think about it. I want that. I want fucking Alex Garland Star Wars. That sounds awesome. Like, just how him as a writer, thinking about, like, Dread and 28 Days Later and Sunshine and Ex Machina. It's like, fuck, he would be, like, he'd be a good writer on a Star Wars film. Like, if he wrote a Star Wars film, I mean, I'd watch him direct it too, but if he wrote the screenplay and they kind of let him do what he want, that would be, fuck yeah. I could get into that shit. Oh my god, JG. JG. Holy shit. Well, you know what Bathory's gonna say to you if you show up like that? She's gonna go, aren't you a little small to be a Han Solo? She's not gonna say, are you a little short to be a stormtrooper? She's gonna see your dick and go, aren't you a little small? I mean, here's the way to win Bathory over. Just be rich. Be a millionaire. I think she'd find that very attractive. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I want. He is into it. Oh yeah, no, Ex Machina is great. I would love, yeah. Maybe Danny Boyle directs. They collaborate again, like Sunshine of 28 Days Later. Danny Boyle Star Wars, because he's free from James Bond now. Written by Alex Garland. That's a movie I would watch. I did cover the box office, yes. Very quickly, though. It was a quick box office. Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you have money, that's a great way to win a bet. I mean, you'd be like, hey, let me take you on vacations, and we'll fly first class, and I'll buy a houseboat for us, and I can buy you all the clothes you want, and any video game or books you want, and you can just dedicate all your time to your career, and I'll take care of everything else. Yeah, I think that'll win her over pretty good. Fuzzballs. This is a weird episode of Box Office Addict. I don't think I need to do them this close together again. This was fucked up. I don't know what the fuck this was. You never know what you're going to get with this show. Some episodes we argue about 2001 for a half hour. Other episodes I talk about bipolar chicks and sex for like 30 minutes. And then other episodes we get just random rants where I'm Ben Shapiro or Quentin Tarantino. And every episode's fucking different. I guess that's the magic of the show. Is that it's always different. He wants to fuck a box. I thought The Help was okay. I didn't hate the movie. Oh boy, I'm sorry, Brando. That's bad. That's bad, bro. That is what happened. You left, and then it became just a fucking Reddit hive mind. This turned into like a 4chan thread, really quick. Yeah, 2001 and sex. That's the show. And sometimes I sing. I know. It's great. This is like a variety show. There's all sorts of things going on. Tasty. Alright, well, I guess I'll wrap this one up because I don't know what the fuck to say. I think we've covered everything. Thank you for watching Box Office Addict. This episode, whatever the fuck it was. I'll see you for episode 60, which is going to be crazy that we've done this 60 fucking weeks. Oh, he does. Razor has a hate boner for a lot of things, though. That's just who he is. But if you watch Box Office Addict, you're probably a box office addict yourself. And I'm not here to help you with that addiction. I'm here to encourage it. I want you to lose your mind. to the box office. I want you to wake up in a cold sweat craving more. I want you to be like Ewan McGregor in Trainspotting, where you jump inside of a toilet just to get some box office numbers and shove them up your ass. That's a world I want to live in. We're great. If you ever want me to sing Africa, you gotta pay me. That's how it works. Darkwing's not here to pay me. What happened to that Brian guy that used to give me like $80? You guys are a bunch of cheap, broke bastards. I didn't know I was doing this live stream for a bunch of hobos. Anyway. The story of the week and is Crazy Rich Asians is making crazy money. And well, then why do you come to this show? Well, that's what I like about the show, though, is that the box office is merely an entry level into Pat getting to talk about whatever the fuck he wants. You know, the box office is just the way to start off the structure and all that, but really the show is just about whatever I want it to be about. It doesn't have one thing. It's just me being able to talk. And you guys all being a collective therapist, I guess. So that's what kind of the magic of the show is that it's everything. That is, it's not just the box office. Although I have been considering a new podcast with Blood Money and Sharkfoot. But it's very niche and a very specific podcast, but I think that's what could be brilliant about it. So we've been talking about that. Oh yeah, check out my review for Crazy Rich Asians, and my review for Upgrade, and hopefully there'll be some more reviews coming in the future. But you guys are great. Thank you for being loyal to the channel. I'll try to make more content here soon. Try to get some more collabs going on with like Wild Smile and all that stuff, and you guys are great. You guys are great. Thank you for getting us through 59 episodes. It's fucking awesome. Thank you for Noel, Funny, everyone who's been a regular guest on the show. I mean, not a guest, but some people who've watched the show. And of course, always as Bathory, who I hope can handle all the loneliness being thrown her way. Because she really doesn't deserve it. She's actually a good sport, all things considered. I think she's actually more of a sweetie than this hard bitch she tries to present herself as. I actually think she's a big sweetheart. Because she's actually very nice to you guys. When she doesn't have to be. So thank you, Bathory, for your tact, I guess. Thank you for being nice. Alright guys. I will see you hopefully next Monday or Tuesday, and we can talk about more movies coming out and answer your questions.